Conor McGregor, the man who throws fists, furniture, and presidential campaigns like they're all part of the same workout routine. He's a former UFC champ, whiskey tycoon, and full-time headline generator. If chaos had a gym membership and an Instagram account, it would look like this guy. Brace yourself because it's time for everything wrong with the notorious Conor McGregor. Sorry to interrupt, but Conor McGregor said watching without subscribing is for amateurs and tea drinkers. Ouch! Humble beginnings. Before the Lamborghinis, Vegas suits, and flying whiskey bottles, Conor was just a skinny kid from Crumlin, Dublin who loved two things: football and fighting, but mostly fighting. Conor McGregor grew up in a working-class neighborhood where throwing hands was apparently just as common as throwing footballs. He trained as a plumber for all of 5 minutes before deciding that punching people for money sounded way more fun and, honestly, less messy. By 17, he was already trading toilet wrenches for rear naked chokes. A young McGregor joined Straight Blast Gym under coach John Kavanagh, where he quickly gained a reputation for two things: scout power and unshakable arrogance. Even when he was broke, living off welfare checks and stuffing protein bars into his gym bag, McGregor talked like he already owned the UFC. It's almost admirable, like watching a guy with 20 euros in his pocket declare he's the king of Ireland. Turns out, delusion and a decent left hand can take you. President McGregor? God help us, because what Ireland really needs in 2025 is more chaos. Conor McGregor has thrown his whiskey-soaked hat into the political ring, announcing a run for Irish president as an independent with an anti-immigration platform. Yep. The man known for bar brawls, Twitter tantrums, and punching pensioners now wants to lead a nation. Bonus points for announcing it while rubbing elbows with Donald Trump at the White House. Nothing screams man of the people like sipping Guinness next to a billionaire US president while railing against immigrants. Unsurprisingly, half of Ireland cringed so hard they nearly imploded, while the other half lit up like a crowd at a UFC weigh-in. Legal experts chimed in quickly to remind him that, certain legal requirements like actually qualifying might be an issue. But hey, when has legality ever stopped Conor? Ibiza bouncer beatdown again. In June 2025, McGregor did what he does best: deliver drama outside the octagon. This time in Ibiza, where he allegedly punched a man in a nightclub. We're shocked that McGregor would behave this way. Because if there's one thing he's known for, it's quiet evenings and mature conflict resolution. Oh wait, no, it's public outbursts and lawsuits. This Ibiza incident instantly reignited the age-old debate. Is Conor ready for a UFC return? Or should he be banned from anywhere with a functioning bar? While fans debated comeback rumors, others couldn't help but notice this guy throws more hands in nightclubs than in actual sanctioned fights. McGregor's camp, as always, either went silent or spun it like a tabloid fever dream. But one thing's for sure: if Conor keeps brawling in beach clubs, his next opponent might be the Spanish legal system. Again, Lord of the Toll Bridges. When he's not campaigning, brawling, or randomly challenging rappers, McGregor's out here, trying to nationalize toll booths. No, really. On social media, Conor went full Robin Hood with Range Rovers, claiming he'll return Irish businesses and infrastructure to the people. Because what says true patriotism like buying toll bridges and pubs with whiskey money? McGregor's basically Ireland's Elon Musk, but with more tattoos and fewer functional business models. From gyms to whiskey to golf courses to hotels, Conor wants you to know he's not just fighting anymore, he's buying. Whether it's a pub in Crumlin or a castle in Killarney, he's out here flipping the Monopoly board and declaring, "Mine now." Is it genuine economic nationalism or just another flex to boost his presidential ego? Either way, when your property portfolio is louder than your punch stats, maybe it's time to stop acting like a revolutionary and start acting like a responsible landlord. The comeback that won't come back. McGregor says he's training. McGregor says he's focused. McGregor says he'll be back in the UFC by the end of 2025. And yet, we've heard this song before, with rumors flying about him training at altitude because apparently mountains fix shattered legs and rusted reflexes. Fans are cautiously hopeful, or just cautiously entertained. Will he fight again? Or is this just another episode of the notorious Never Fights Again? While McGregor tweets aspirational quotes between courtroom dates and press stunts, actual fighters are, well, fighting. Dana White remains cryptic. The UFC fan base is divided. And Conor? He's probably juggling campaign speeches with shadowboxing in front of a mirror. Until that contract is signed and someone other than Machine Gun Kelly is eating a left hook, this so-called comeback lives in the same fantasy realm as his presidential dreams and psychic prediction. Wake us up when the cage door closes. Talk big, tap faster. McGregor versus Khabib saga wasn't just a fight. It was a Shakespearean tragedy written in left hooks and takedowns. McGregor ran his mouth like it was cardio, trashing Khabib's religion, family, country, and probably his choice of shampoo. Then fight night came, and Khabib turned the octagon into a Dagestani wrestling clinic. Conor's usual swagger was quickly replaced by panic as he got ground pounded into humility. And just when you thought it was over, Khabib launched himself over the cage like Spider-Man to beat up McGregor's entourage. Conor later dismissed it as just business, which is hilarious because no amount of Irish whiskey can wash away a beatdown that thorough. Moral of the story: don't poke the bear when the bear fights like it's defending the honor of an entire nation, especially if your game plan is just talk loud and get strangled. Mayweather match. Oh look, it's the greatest crossover since Sharknado versus Common Sense. In 2017, Conor McGregor stepped into a boxing ring with Floyd 50-0 Mayweather because why not fight the undefeated GOAT in his own sport for your boxing debut? Classic McGregor confidence or delusion? The hype was nuclear, the trash talk was Oscar-worthy, and the actual fight? A glorified slap fight that ended with McGregor TKO'd in the 10th round, looking like a guy who just realized cardio exists. But who cares about footwork or technique when you're cashing a $100 million check, right? The only thing Conor punched that night was a hole in boxing's credibility. Fans were promised a battle of titans, but got a multi-million-dollar sparring session. At least McGregor got to live out every drunk Irishman's fantasy of fighting Mayweather, right before proving exactly why MMA guys should probably stay away from sweet science. Aldo's belt, not yours. Ever seen a toddler snatch a toy just to say, mine? Now imagine that. But the toddler is a full-grown Irishman in designer suits, and the toy is a UFC championship belt. In one of the most gloriously immature moments in UFC history, McGregor straight up stole Jose Aldo's belt during a press conference. No warning, no shame, just reached over and yoinked it like it was a clearance item at IKEA. Aldo's face turned 3 shades of fury while McGregor acted like a leprechaun who found gold. It was peak showmanship, sure, but also peak kindergarten tantrum. And let's not forget, this was before they ever fought. McGregor hadn't earned it yet, but hey, why wait for victory when you can commit pre-fight robbery? The UFC may call it hype, most of us just call it theft, and yet somehow, Dana White grinned like a proud dad watching his kid win the school talent show by setting fire to the stage. The Fast and the Delirious. Let's talk about that time Conor McGregor turned Brooklyn into Grand Theft Octagon. In 2018, McGregor decided that fists were too mainstream, so he picked up a dolly and yeeted it through a bus window like a discount Marvel villain. The goal? To get to Khabib, who was inside. The result? Broken glass, injured fighters, legal charges, and a press tour that suddenly had a whole lot of glass shards. It was the UFC's most expensive game of peekaboo. Conor was arrested, sued, and fined, but hey, at least he gave TMZ content for the next decade. The whole thing felt less like intimidation and more like a tantrum with wheels. He didn't throw hands, he threw furniture. It was less warrior spirit and more kindergarten on steroids. Dana White called it the most disgusting thing in UFC history, which, coming from the guy who approved the Power Slap League, is really saying something. Retired but still employed. If Conor McGregor had $1 for every time he retired, he'd still be less rich than he already is. But only barely. McGregor's retirement announcements are like Hollywood reboots. Dramatic, predictable, and never permanent. He's retired more times than most people change Wi-Fi passwords. 2016, 2019, 2020, and 2021. And we're all just waiting for the 2025 I'm Back tour. Each I'm done tweet is followed by a cryptic comeback video 6 months later. The guy treats retirement like it's a casual hobby, not a life decision. And let's be honest, was anyone actually fooled? We all knew it was just a publicity stunt wrapped in an ego boost and sprinkled with marketing hype. At this point, Conor McGregor retires should be a seasonal holiday. He doesn't retire. He just takes commercial breaks. Like a soap opera star who never really dies, he always finds a way to dramatically reappear, shirtless, tattooed, and screaming at reporters. Whiskey bent and taste broken. The whiskey that tastes like regret and broken dreams. McGregor launched his own brand of Irish whiskey in 2018, and if marketing alone made a good drink, this would be the nectar of the gods. But instead of a smooth Irish classic, what we got was meh. Critics panned it, connoisseurs laughed. Reviewers called it thin, overhyped, and the kind of thing you serve at a frat party with no taste buds. But did that stop sales? Absolutely not. Because when McGregor yells loud enough, people will apparently drink anything. It flew off shelves like it was brewed with four-leaf clovers and leprechaun tears. Spoiler, it wasn't. Most fans bought it once, took a sip, and immediately wished they hadn't. Still, it made millions, proving once again that branding beats quality when your face is already a global meme. Proper number 12, more like improper number. Please, never again. Senior discount beatdown. Imagine walking into your local Irish pub for a quiet pint, and boom, you get punched by Conor McGregor for turning down a free whiskey. That's exactly what happened in 2019 when McGregor's signature charm transformed into a cheap shot aimed at a 60-something man who dared say, "No thanks" to proper number 12. Yep, McGregor went full toddler tantrum because Grandpa didn't want his booze. The incident was caught on video, of course, because if you're going to commit public battery, always do it in HD. The backlash was immediate. Fans, media, and actual decent humans were horrified. McGregor, meanwhile, tried to apologize while hoping everyone would forget he'd basically uppercut Santa Claus. Punching fighters is one thing. Punching pensioners over whiskey? That's not alpha energy. That's just sad. When your biggest opponent of the year is an old man with better whiskey taste than you, it might be time to rethink your life choices. Keyboard warrior. Forget spinning kicks. McGregor's most frequent strike is the tweet and delete. When he's not in the octagon, Conor's busy rage posting like a teenager who just lost at Fortnite. Whether it's cryptic threats, casual racism, or good old-fashioned trash talk, his social media is less inspirational athlete and more guy who should really log off. He's taken jabs at everyone from Khabib's wife to random fans to fighters he'll never actually face. And let's not forget that glorious post-Khabib meltdown where he unleashed a stream of unhinged tweets, then deleted them faster than his championship reigns. McGregor's Twitter fingers punch harder than half the featherweight division. At this point, his publicist probably lives on Xanax. If McGregor ever retires for real, don't worry. He'll still be throwing haymakers on Instagram Live while sipping proper number 12 and ranting about loyalty. In the end, he's a keyboard warrior with a black belt in bad decisions. Smash and selfie. Ah yes, the classic McGregor hospitality. Punch first, settle out of court later. In 2019, Conor was arrested again for smashing a fan's phone outside a Miami nightclub. The fan had the audacity, the unthinkable nerve to try and take a picture. McGregor's response? Grab the phone, slam it to the pavement, and stroll off like an Irish Hulk with anger management issues. The charges? Strong arm robbery and criminal mischief. Because apparently, taking a selfie near McGregor is now considered high-risk behavior. Sure, the case was dropped, but not before the story reminded everyone that Conor handles fame the way he handles whiskey. Recklessly and usually with a mess to clean up afterward. Pro tip for future fans: if you see McGregor on the street, put your phone away and maybe just wave. Or, better yet, run. The only thing more fragile than his UFC win streak? Apparently, your smartphone screen. The fall of the notorious. Karma called, and it had Dustin Poirier on speed dial. After McGregor knocked Poirier out in 2014, he spent years living rent-free in Dustin's head, or so he thought. In 2021, the tables turned, and Poirier turned Conor into a human bobblehead with a clean KO in the second round. That should have been the end, right? Wrong. McGregor demanded a trilogy fight like a guy who loses poker but doubles down with Monopoly money. The result? A snapped tibia that left McGregor crumpled on the canvas, screaming insults from a stretcher like an unhinged Shakespeare villain. He lost the fight and the plot, literally yelling, "Your wife's in me DMs," while being wheeled out of the arena. Iconic? Sure. Dignified? Not even close. It was the UFC equivalent of getting dunked on, then breaking your leg mid-tantrum. Moral of the story: maybe don't tempt fate when your bones are apparently made of ego and calcium-free rage. Crutches and cringe. You'd think snapping your leg in half would be enough drama for one night, but not for McGregor. After his gruesome injury at UFC 264, most fighters would have been too busy screaming in pain or, receiving actual medical care. But McGregor? Nah. He grabbed a mic and started cutting a villain promo like he was auditioning for WWE from the floor, with his leg in pieces. His opponent Dustin Poirier had just handed him another L, but McGregor wasn't done losing. He decided to throw in some dignity for free. He accused Poirier's wife of sliding into his DMs, because apparently the only thing more broken than his leg was his chill. It was a masterclass in how not to handle defeat. Fans didn't know whether to cringe or call a therapist. At this point, Conor's trash talk isn't intimidating. It's just sad karaoke with a side of delusion. Late to the roast party. Yes. The time Conor McGregor treated a major UFC press conference like a casual brunch reservation. During the UFC 229 presser, McGregor showed up nearly an hour late, proving once again that punctuality is for peasants. His opponent, Khabib, decided not to wait, because when you're the undefeated lightweight champ, your time is probably worth more than listening to an empty stage. When McGregor finally arrived, he made his usual grand entrance, radiating energy like a man who just discovered mirrors for the first time. He launched into insults and whiskey-fueled monologues, but without Khabib there, it felt more like a one-man roast in an empty comedy club. Conor might call it making an entrance, but to everyone else it just screamed diva. Being fashionably late to your own beatdown? Bold move. Too bad karma doesn't run on Irish time. Weighty words, weak comeback. When you're not winning fights, you start swinging at anything, even ex-champions who haven't thrown a punch in years. In 2021, McGregor decided to mock Daniel Cormier's weight because apparently fat jokes are still a thing when you're desperate for relevance. Let's ignore the fact that Cormier is a two-division UFC champion and one of the most respected voices in MMA. No. Conor thought the best move was to tweet "fat drunk" like he was stuck in a 2006 high school cafeteria. Never mind that McGregor himself has ballooned up and down weight classes like a human yo-yo. And let's also ignore the irony of calling someone else out of shape while promoting whiskey like it's a food group. Cormier didn't even bother responding with fury. Just facts. Because when you've actually achieved greatness, you don't need to clap back at insecure hecklers. McGregor used to punch up. Now, he just punches sideways into irrelevance. Psychic failures and mystic flops. Remember when Conor McGregor anointed himself Mystic Mac because he could see the future? Yeah, it turns out he must have been using a cracked crystal ball. Back in the day, he predicted victories with unnerving accuracy, until reality struck back like a head kick from karma. Fast forward to UFC 257, McGregor confidently claimed he'd knock Dustin Poirier out in round 1. Spoiler alert, he was the one napping on the canvas while Mystic Mac's prediction evaporated faster than his championship reigns. At this point, his forecasts are less clairvoyant and more uncle at the pub rambling about aliens. But give the man credit. He still delivers with full conviction, even if he's about as accurate as a magic 8-ball after 4 shots of proper Norm 12. Maybe it's time to retire the psychic act and accept that the only thing he's mystically predicting now is his next injury. Yachts, jets, and insecurity. Conor McGregor doesn't just flex, he hyperextends the concept of luxury living. His Instagram is less professional athlete and more midlife crisis with a black card. From gold-trimmed suits to absurdly named yachts, shout out to the 188. McGregor's lifestyle looks like it was designed by a 14-year-old with access to GTA cheat codes. And sure, he earned his wealth, respect. But when you're posting daily reminders of your net worth while your fight record slides downhill like a soap-covered staircase, the flex starts feeling more like a smokescreen. You can wrap insecurity in silk and park it next to a Lamborghini, but at the end of the day, it's still insecurity. Conor may be balling in the real world, but inside the octagon, let's just say his bank account's undefeated, his jaw not so much. Cowboys gift-wrapped loss. Ah yes, UFC 246, the big comeback, the redemption arc, the 40-second glorified sparring session. Conor McGregor's much-hyped return in 2020 saw him demolish Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone with shoulder strikes and a head kick that looked straight out of a tutorial. Dominant? Sure. But competitive? Not so much. Cerrone, a legend in his own right, looked like he wandered into the cage thinking it was a meet and greet. Analysts and fans couldn't help but whisper, was Cowboy really trying? The win felt like watching an NBA star dunk on a retired dad at a charity game. It added a W to Conor's record, sure, but it also added fuel to the theory that this was less a fight and more a morale-boosting exhibition. Let's be honest, it was a warm-up lap McGregor could brag about between yacht selfies, not exactly a return to championship form. Imaginary fights, real tweets. What's better than hyping a fight? Hyping one that doesn't even exist. In 2020, Conor McGregor took to Twitter and casually announced a mega fight against Manny Pacquiao. The problem? Literally nobody else had agreed to it. Not Manny, not the UFC, not even McGregor's own shadow. Dana White looked about as blindsided as a first-time fighter on Fight Island. It was like announcing your wedding before proposing, or meeting the other person. But hey, McGregor's never been one to let facts get in the way of a good headline. It was promotional theater at its finest, Conor playing the lead role in fake fight night. In the end, the bout never happened because, surprise, tweeting isn't the same as signing contracts. Maybe next time, confirm with the actual boxer before announcing your next multi-million-dollar fantasy brawl. Red carpet rumble, McGregor versus MGK. Of all the people Conor McGregor could have thrown hands at, Machine Gun Kelly is possibly the weirdest. At the 2021 MTV VMAs, McGregor reportedly tried to punch MGK on the red carpet. Because when you're a world-class fighter, clearly your next opponent should be a tattooed rapper best known for dating Megan Fox and dressing like Hot Topic exploded. What sparked the beef? No one really knows. Maybe MGK didn't want a selfie. Maybe McGregor mistook him for a walking bottle of hair bleach. Whatever it was, Conor lunged like a man looking for relevance at a music awards show. Security separated them before it got juicy, but the damage was done, mainly to McGregor's credibility. Because let's face it, when your fight record is slipping, you've got to get those W's somewhere, even if it's outside a photo booth against a pop-punk poser. The UFC 200 ego explosion. The UFC 200 debacle. When McGregor tried to play UFC president without the title. In 2016, he was set for a rematch with Nate Diaz, but refused to attend a mandatory press conference. Dana White, tired of babysitting Conor's calendar, yanked him from the main event. What did Conor do? He rage quit Twitter style, dropping the now iconic line, "I have decided to retire young. Thanks for the cheese." Because if you're going to throw a tantrum, at least make it dairy themed. Of course, this retirement lasted about as long as a proper number. 12 hangover. McGregor was back faster than you could say media obligations. But the whole drama proved one thing. If the octagon doesn't break you, the press junket will. When you're bigger than the sport, in your own head, showing up is optional, until the UFC reminds you who actually signs the checks. The self-love documentary. In 2017, Netflix released Conor McGregor, Notorious, a documentary charting his meteoric rise from Dublin dirt floors to designer belts. And while it should have been an inspiring tale of grit, glory, and Guinness, what we got instead was a 2-hour McGregor Instagram story. Filtered, curated, and 99% ego. The film conveniently leaves out the less flattering moments, like sucker-punching retirees, dodging court cases, or screaming about DMs from people's wives. It's basically Rocky meets Keeping Up with the Kardashians, minus the character development. Sure, it's visually slick and full of dramatic monologues, but it's also more puff piece than prize fighter. If you're looking for a deep, honest portrait of a complicated man, maybe try literally any other documentary. This one's just Conor narrating his own legend like he's trying to convince himself he's still that guy. Mayweather rematch madness. Apparently, once was not enough. After getting surgically outboxed by Floyd Mayweather in 2017, McGregor started floating the idea of a rematch in 2021. Because nothing screams confidence like begging for a second chance to lose again. The first fight was a glorified cash grab. Floyd coasted, Conor swung wildly, and both walked away richer than small countries. The rematch rumors, though, those reeked of desperation. McGregor wasn't chasing a title, he was chasing attention. Fans weren't clamoring for it, Dana wasn't pushing for it, and even Mayweather looked more interested in exhibition bouts with YouTubers than revisiting Conor's boxing experiments. But credit where it's due, McGregor knows how to stay in the headlines, even if it means reliving his biggest L. Floyd said it best, easy work. And if they fight again, it'll be easy work with a rerun discount. Owner of What Now? In 2021, McGregor dropped a bombshell tweet saying he was considering buying Manchester United. You know, just casually claiming he might purchase one of the most iconic, valuable football clubs on earth. Like someone announcing they might buy the moon if the price is right. Never mind the actual logistics, TV rights, Premier League contracts, the fact that he's not a sports executive. In McGregor land, nothing is impossible, especially not attention-seeking headlines with zero basis in reality. Whether it was a joke, a PR stunt, or a moment of proper number 12-fueled ambition, it reminded everyone just how delusional Notorious can get. Buying Manchester United? Please. The only thing he's owned lately is a growing collection of post-fight medical bills. Excuse Machine 9000. You've got to admire McGregor's commitment to never taking an L, even when he's clearly horizontal on the canvas. Every loss? Just a misunderstanding. In McGregor's universe, he's never truly been beaten, only temporarily betrayed by fate, footwear, or phantom injuries. Broken leg? Not his fault. Poor game plan? Coach's fault. Knocked out cold? Mercury was in retrograde. He doesn't lose. He suffers circumstantial performance setbacks. Meanwhile, his opponents walk away with actual victories while McGregor spins fanfiction in press conferences. At this point, he should be sponsored by Band-Aid and Delusion. If he spent as much time analyzing what went wrong as he does explaining it away, he might actually bounce back. Until then, we await his next excuse with popcorn in hand. And there you have it. What do you think of Conor McGregor? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.